Anybody watching the Final Four or been watching college basketball? Donna, yeah, she's going crazy over there.
Three boys, they put me into football, they put me into basketball. I've got a bracket and I'm watching Duke. Oh, go Duke.
Oh, good for you. We're going to talk about Coach K later in today. So as we get started, one of the things that I'm very shy and quiet. Okay, and it takes a lot of energy to get me excited about something. But this week, I was shocked. Was anybody shocked this week? I was shocked. And we're going to have a new segment. It's called Being Shocked. And here's the intro.
Everybody is to leave here immediately. This cafe is closed until further notice. Clear the room at once.
How can he close me up? On what ground?
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
You're winning, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Everybody out at once.
He was shocked. Shocked, I tell you, that there was gambling going on, and then he's handed his winnings. So there is things that get you shocked. And this week, I was shocked. Shocked, I tell you, to read that test scores rise when children go to school in person. Shocking. Shocking. I mean, how can you understand this? It's like crazy. And another shock was this. I saw they did a survey, and the survey talks about different assumptions. So you see on the right-hand side, or the left-hand side, your left, that's stage right, by the way. Over here, you'll see all of these questions. Now, for each one of them, there is an assumption. How many people do you think really fit into this category? And then there's the reality, okay? So we'll do the first one together. The first one is, how many households have $1 million or more income? How many? What's the percentage? 5. 0.5%. 2. Well, you guys are really good because most people think 20, but it's really less than 1%. The next one, how many people have a college degree? The people think how many? 30? Okay. They think 47? You guys are really plugged in. You guys are terrific. How many people have flown on a plane? What percentage? 75. 50. The perceived is 59, but the actual is 88. And how many have a $25,000 or more household income? How many people have at least $25,000 coming in annually? 80. Well, boy, you guys, are you sure you didn't get this memo? And how many are left-handed? How many people are left-handed? 30. Well, that's the perception. The actual is 11. So, we got you on that one. And lastly, I think this is a good one. How many people are Jewish? 5%? 10. It's actually 2. You see, we have all these perceptions, these assumptions. We think things, and we're going to be talking about the first word in the dictionary of our time together is love. So everybody thinks, love is a big thing. How many song titles do you think have the word love in them? 81%. You think a lot, right? Why? Because it's a topic everybody wants to talk about, isn't it? Everybody wants to be loved. Yeah. One person said it was 1187. Now, I don't know whether that's real or not, but it was on the internet, so it must be true. So I just started to go through some of the songs that, for me, represent the idea of love. And the first one that came to mind was what?
All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you
first one that came to mind. And the second one was, now nobody here is old enough to remember this one, okay? So I'm going to give it to you. But it was written by a guy who saw a girl on TV and he fell in love with her. This is Paul Anka.
And they called it puppy love.
Now, nobody remembers that song. I get it, and that's fine, or American Bandstand's long before. But some of you maybe are more in line with Donny Osmond.
And they called it puppy love.
Look at the outfit. Look at the clothes.
Just
It's terrific,
because
right?
we're in our
So you got that. And then there is Johnny Lee.
I was looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces,
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
looking for traces.
And then there is more in my line was, actually this song was not originally performed by these guys, but you'll know it.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love.
I never knew Jefferson Airplane was even on American Bandstand. But there, you know, we have these great songs. But then we have movies that tell us about the true meaning of love. I remember taking Barb on our first date. You notice I didn't say Marianne, my wife. Barb on our first date to this movie. And it was, I knew she was going to cry because it was Love Story.
Jenny, I'm sorry.
Don't. Love means never having to say you're sorry.
And the tears flowed. And the truth went out the window with it, but that's okay. And then there was a more modern version of it in Star Wars.
I love you.
I know.
Just so you know, that was not written in the script. Harrison Ford ad-libbed it, and they kept it in. And then here is one that I just sort of popped into my mind. Anybody remember arguably the greatest soccer player, or as the rest of the world calls it, football player, was a guy by the name of Pele. And when he retired, after the end of the game, they let him come out and speak. And this is the end of what he said to that gathered crowd.
Please say to me, say with me, 3 times, Lord, Lord, and Lord. Thank you very much. Muito obrigado.
That was October 1st, 1977. Did it come true? Did saying love 3 times in a larger place, did that make love happen? No. Going back, you know, Woodstock was a celebration of music and love. I think they missed the target by a little bit. But this week, I got an email that I knew was love. It was from a magazine, the Financial Monthly. Here's what they said in the letter. Dear Chet, in the next edition of Finance Monthly magazine, we are producing a feature article on innovation, transformation, and leadership, and what they really mean for business. And I would like to invite you to take part. They were offering me, they wanted to quote me, they wanted to talk to me, they wanted to put my picture on the magazine, and it was love, wasn't it? Not exactly, because it then went on to say that the first option was 1,200 words and, $595. But love gets even more when there's more money, because at almost $800, there's 4 pages. And then at almost $1,000, I get listed on the front. And if I really, really am loved, it's almost $5,000. They'll put my face on the front cover. Is that love? I don't think so. So let me ask you the question. What is love? What is it? God is love. Okay. What else? It's a feeling. Caring for someone no matter what. Anything else? What is love? Sorry? It's action. What else might love be? It's what? Sacrifice. Well, I'm going to try to give you a working definition of love, which you have the right to disagree on, okay? You have the right. Now, you will be wrong, but it's my definition, and I want us to work through this. Love, and you've said some of these things, self-sacrifice for the benefit of another. It's not just self-sacrifice, it's not just sacrifice out there, but it's for the benefit of someone else. Or another way, it's purposefully giving up my rights for the benefit of another. Think about that. Somebody wants to get into traffic. Well, I got to get there. I got to get the milk, and I don't have time to let them get in, right? No, there's a word, deference. I defer. I put my rights on hold for the benefit of someone else. Or finally, it's also has to do with the preciousness of the one who is loved. Yeah, it's, letting somebody in line, yeah, that's nice, but is it based on the preciousness of the one who I'm letting in? I don't think so. When God talks about love, it always has these 3 characteristics. It's self-sacrifice, it's purposeful for the benefit, and it's the preciousness of the one who is being loved. Now notice what word is not here. It's the word from this song.
Feelings for all my life I'll feel it.
Do you see feelings in that definition at all? No. Love is an act of choice. Now, there may be feelings along with it because of the preciousness angle, but primarily, love is a choice. Love is someone who does something. And we've heard this at so many weddings. I don't want to read it, but it talks about the ifs of love. If I speak, if I have the gift, if I have faith, if I give, it's all these ifs. But then it talks about the true nature of love that follows those 3 characteristics of love. Being self-sacrificial, giving up my rights, and it's the preciousness. It's love is. It's specific. It's there. It does not do things. It does things. It is not. It is. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always persevere. Love never fails. And to notice, what's the same thing about all of these phrases? They're active. They're in action. Love doesn't sit around and say, oh, I love you, and then does nothing. Love always shows itself. Love is always active. It always is. It's there. Love doesn't sit around and wonder what to do. Love gets up and does it. And we have the fruit of the Spirit. Maybe you've heard of this phrase. You've heard of the phrase, the fruit of the Spirit? And what's the first one of those things? Love. Why do you think love is listed first? Most powerful. It's the hardest. Maybe it's the thing that goes along with all the rest of them. Because if I really do show gentleness, I can do gentleness with a really stinking attitude. I really can. I have mastered that. I have practiced it. But these are active. And you'll notice, notice what it says. It doesn't say the fruits of the Spirit, does it? It says fruit, which is what? Singular. That's why I have the oranges. And orange is a single fruit, right? You got an orange, you got the fruit, right? But what's inside? Different sections, right? It's still all part of the fruit, but there are different pieces. There are different expressions of it. And these all are expressions of the fruit of the Spirit. But you've got to have love in there. Now, let me ask this question about love. Is love something you just sort of fall into? Some people say they do. What do you think? You just take a step and you fall in and you step into love. It's a choice. When I go out and step into something, it's usually not nice. And then I got to scrape it off my shoes. Right? No. It's not something you just fall into. You can fall into feelings, but what happens to your feelings? They can change? How about they do change? They do change. I can be on top of the world. I'm high atop. I'm on spiritual mountain number 7. And then somebody says something, or something happens, and I'm down in gutter number 43. And how long did that trip take? A second. It's not, because somebody said, in the earlier said that God is love. Somebody said, oh, I'm in the wrong place, my mistake. That love is something we can choose. Love is something we can, according to Paul, it says, in this way they can do what? Train people how to love their husbands and children. I thought didn't it just happen? Didn't loving your husband and your children just sort of happen? Isn't it just sort of natural? Well, maybe it's not. Maybe there are times when in a relationship that you have to choose and you have to train. You have to be trained how to do that. It is a reminder when you train, to remind, to get a skill, to be disciplined. School training in love takes choice. One choice on top of another choice, on top of another choice. We talked about, somebody mentioned that God is love. Now, when God is love, that's part of his what? Part of his nature, his character, who he is. You cut God and he bleeds love. And how did he show that? By dying for us. So did he sit around on the throne of heaven and say, look at those poor schmucks down there ruining that planet I made? Let's just leave him alone, see what happens, right? No, what did he do? He left his Father's throne above, so free, so infinite his grace, and emptied himself of all but love, and bled for Adam's helpless race. 'Tis mercy all immense and free, for, oh my God, it found out me. God is love, that's action. But then it goes forward, just a few verses after that, he goes on to say that perfect love, fully developed love, does what with fear? Drives it out, throws it out the window. You got any fear in your life? I do. To get rid of my fear, it's not about, this checklist. It's not about eating the right kinds or, I'm trying to reduce some kinds of food in my diet. Is that going to help my fear? No. What's going to happen? What's going to help drive out fear? Love. Getting to know God. Taking those to God, because if he truly is God, let's think about this for a moment. If he truly is God, what is he like? He's all powerful. He's all knowing. He knows what's coming down the pike. He also has told us what's at the end of the game. If he is really all those things and more, then who do I have to be afraid of? Nobody. No one. Having perfect, fully developed love, which is understanding who God is, will help push fear out of my life, to throw it out. Love is something you can learn. Now, here is Iris Apfel, who is a 100-year-old fashion designer, who says, you can't learn style. Style is in your DNA. Well, I am here to tell you that I think she's right. I can't learn style. Okay, even this morning, I walked out and Marianne looked at me and says, gray and tan, not so good. I said, well, what about, and then I put the jacket on. She said, and I'm thinking, I'm looking good. I can't learn this stuff. But love is not beyond you, and love is not beyond me to learn. It's something we can learn. In the Broadway musical, and then in the movie, they had to learn to love one another.
Golden, the first time I met you was on our wedding day. I was scared.
I was shy.
I was nervous.
So was I.
But my father and my mother said we'd learn to love each other. And now I'm asking, Golden, do you love me?
I'm your wife.
I know. But do you love me?
Do I love him?
Well,
For
25 years, she's cleaned his clothes, bore him children. The actions, it was something that was learned. And love can be learned. It is a skill. It is something that can be developed. It's inside all of us, but we have to make choices about loving people. And for me, I am given the directive by God to do what? To love my wife, how? As Christ loved the church. It doesn't end there. What else? Gave himself up for her. The model of love that I have is Jesus. And what did he do? What did he do? He loved me. He loves you so much that he did what? He gave himself up. He gave himself up.
You betrayed him! What's going on? Peter, listen to me. The only way the master can save himself is by speaking to the Sanhedrin. Leave him alone! Bingo! Kill him! Oh. Jesus! Stop! Jesus! No, Peter! Get away, you scum! Arrest him! Peter! It was me you sought. You have found me. Let them go. Take him away! Take him away! Take him to the Sanhedrin!
They were going to arrest everybody. And what did Jesus say? Let them go. You got who you came for. This is the kind of love that God demonstrates for us. That while we were sinners, you ever put that down on a resume? Or a job application? Sinner. No, I bet you didn't. Love does things, and Jesus demonstrated that when he gave himself up. First of all, love compels. Love brings, it's a sense of duty. It's like, love, I have to do this. I can't turn away from it. It also constrains us to follow a course of action. Love is like a road. I'm not really good at off-road, okay? This whole Florida thing on parking on the grass just drives me crazy. I don't understand you people. Where do you park? On concrete, on asphalt. Not grass? No. That's reserved for things that are dirty. I don't want the tires of my car to get dirty. But it constrains us. Love also motivates us. Love is to get us up and to say, I must do this. I am motivated. What motivates you? Love motivates. Love also propels. Love pushes us along, because there's going to come a time, there's going to come a place where you say, I'm done. Have you ever said that? Yes. I am done with it. But love, Jesus, did he ever turn to look at Chet and say, I'm done? No. Yes, he did. He did. On the cross, he said, it is finished. And that was to pay fully for my sin. It wasn't I'm done to turn away from him. It was I'm done to pay for him. And it's the same for you. It's the same for everyone else who walks and breathes on planet Earth. He's not done because he is done. I'm playing word games with you. God can look down at anybody and say, I'm not done with you because it is finished. The payment is done, full. It also restrains us. Love says, no. Love says, no. I have a friend who was involved with, he wanted to get better at poker, which is okay. That's okay. So he decided to start going to a casino to play against people who were better. And there he met a woman who told him, what a nice guy you are. Boy, you're so kind. He got messages that he felt like he wasn't getting at home. And he didn't say no. We have choices. We have choices to make. And when it comes to showing love towards God, we have choices. And the choice is, who was on the Lord's side? Who was on the Lord's side? Who will serve the King? Who will be his helper, other lives to bring? Who will be on the Lord's side? Who will face the foe? Who for the Lord will go? Not for weight of glory, not for crown and palm. Enter we the army, raise the warrior song. But for love that claimeth, lives for whom he died. He whom Jesus nameth must be on his side. By thy love constraining, that's saying no. By thy grace divine, we are on the Lord's side, Savior. We are thine. When it comes time for love, as we sort of wind up the definition of it, I'm sorry, I got too excited. I get excited. Sometimes you just forget it. Say, I want to forget about it. I want to forget about love. I want to forget about the hate. I want to quit. I just want to pull away. Or I want to undo what I've done. But maybe it's time to get, not forget, but get it. Not to quit, but it. And get it done. It's time to take action. It's time to say, love is real, and I'm going to do something. I'm willing to act. And of all the people who showed love the most, and I can't believe I'm saying this, because I have rooted against this guy all my life, okay? Even though he's Polish, Coach K. You know, since March of 1980, he's been the coach of Duke. He's won over 1,100 games, 5 national titles, 12 Final Fours, and a whole bunch of ACC titles. He also coached the Olympics. Many people think he's the greatest coach of all time. At least he's in the discussion. And you think, you know, well, he's retiring. But guess what happened? The last home game at Duke, he lost. He didn't just lose, he lost to their dreaded enemies, North Carolina. Now, what he could have done was say, well, you know what? I've been a coach for a long time. We're going to go do what we always do, right? We're going to go look at the tape. We're going to figure it out. You know, we're going to work hard. But he did something that he said, I never did before. Listen to his words. During the 10 days after the loss, I learned something, and I saw my team hurt. Not just by the loss, but by a whole bunch of things. I had a good meeting with myself, and I said, I've got to do something. I've got to help in some way. And part of it was my approach with them. So do you know what he did? He pulled up a chair and sat down with his players. That's what he did. He didn't pull out a chart. He didn't, you know, they have the board with the white markers and draw out a play. You know, they didn't talk. He just listened and talked with them. He reached out to them. He said, I've never done this before, and I've come into the locker room. I just pulled out a chair, and I sat with them for about 5 minutes. He showed them respect. He said, I saw my team. I felt really bad for them. I felt really bad that we lost, and I also, the way I responded to it, and I needed to take responsibility for it. That took a lot of guts. Willing to do something different. He had never done this before. In a way, he showed great love for them. Yes, it was leadership and coaching and all that good stuff. But he was willing to do something new. And it wasn't like, well, you're the, it's easy. I'm the coach. You're the guys out there. You're not running the plays right. You're not making your passes. You're not making the shots. It must be your fault. He didn't say that. He said, it falls on me. That's love. And he did something about it. For me, to love my wife like Christ loves the church is more than buying flowers. It's more than buying cards. It's cooking. And Marianne went and saw this recipe. It's a Mexican chicken and rice. And she said, that looks good. And I went, okay. And it has all these things that I'm against. First of all, I'm on a low-carb diet. What's most of this dish filled with? Carbs, rice. Yeah, this is not on my wheelhouse. But it also has olives. Olives, I tell you, olives. Who eats olives? Marianne does. She likes olives. So I made it for her because that's what she wanted. It was to please her. I could have said, now Marianne, now let's talk about this for a minute. All these carbs and the olive. We won't talk about the fact that it had capers in it. Capers are okay, maybe, but olives, I was like, okay. Willing to do for the benefit of the other. And then the one that makes this look like a piker is her worm farms. She has 3 worm farms. They're compost. So because the dirt here is terrible, if you didn't know that. If you're from anywhere else, you know what really good soil is, right? This ain't it. Okay, you know what kind of nutrients are in the soil? Nothing. Nothing. So Marianne likes gardens and stuff, so she does that. So that means I go out with her and we gather leaves. I sweep them up in the streets. I rake them up in the parks. We put them in construction plastic bags, and bring them into the car, and bring them home and put them in these things. Now, she's got these 3 of these compost piles, which are worm farms also, and it's like, okay, how can I help? Well, she found out, they're supposed to be breaking down. Leaves and the all supposed to break down. It's not breaking down. Exactly. So I went online because the internet is the source of all truth, and it says you're supposed to turn these things once a week. So guess what I'm doing? Turning them once a week. So I've made these compost piles. They have it's in a circle of screening material. So I have these little ties. I cut them and take that, because trying to turn it over inside of that is just useless. It's just not going to happen. So I take it apart, move it, re-put it back together, and then shovel it in, okay, and break it all apart. Do you think this is something I really like to do? Just wild guess out there. You think this is, I wake up every morning, it's like, is this the day I get to turn over the compost piles? No. And I say these things humbly because I've got a woman who loves me in spite of all the nonsense she has to put up. Can you imagine living with me? No, thank you. I have nice looking legs, but they're not worth it. No. But she takes the lemons of my life and makes them into lemonade. And she continually shows grace. So it's like, how can I not do these things? This is just a thimbleful of the expression of God's love for you. That he went to the cross for you and me. So how can we do anything less than respond in love? What do you want me to do? How can I serve you, God? How can I show your love to other people? There's no price worth paying because he paid the awful price. Whether it's prayer, whether it's fasting, whether it's sharing your faith, maybe taking a meal to someone, just listening to someone who's having a terrible day, or just being the best and friendliest person who talks to the checkout person at the store. Or when you go to Publix and it takes them forever to do something. I'm not picking on Publix, but go to any place. Go to any deli counter, right? They're frazzled. Just say to them, I want to be the best customer you've had today. I did that. And she said, really? Thank you. Can you imagine doing this all day? I mean, that's the extent of your job. And I just said, God has been good to me, so I just want to share that with you. You can do that. It's not beyond you. And if we don't, I am not judging, but I have to ask the question, what's going on inside with your relationship with him? Somebody once said, I'm not a judge, but maybe I need a fruit inspector, the fruit of the Spirit. How much of that is being produced in my life? And every once in a while, I got to look at that. And I got to take some of that compost out of Mary Ann's worm farm and put that into my spiritual life to renew it, to give it something to chew on. So let's go from this place. Let us be people about God's business. He did so much, so much, so much. Let us respond to his love with love for him and our neighbors. Would you pray with me? Our Father and our God, I thank you that you are the King, you are the Lord. You are the great lover of the universe. You loved us. You first loved us. You made us to be the objects, the people of your love. And in Jesus Christ, you have restored that relationship. We respond in worship and praise and thanksgiving. And let us allow that to energize us in your name this week. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much. So great to have you. Blessings on you. You are loved people. And you have a great week. And remember, buy yourself a piece of cake or some ice cream, because today is pre-birthday, right? Celebrate the pre-birthday. My dad will be 101 tomorrow. Bye-bye.